Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Now it's time for your weekend tech tip, brought to you by Chevy Silverado.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, there are 3 absolutely must-have rules when you're talking about hunting ducks, okay? First one, location. Where are you going to actually hunt? 2, your hide. I mean, extremely important. A lot of people just overlook the fact that they're not hidden, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, decoys and calling. So that's the order of how I look at duck hunting. Location, hide, decoys, and calling. Because if you're not using decoys and calling, you're not duck hunting, okay? I mean, pass shooting is what it is, but really? Anyway, so the question was, I've talked about this over the years, how I like to run decoys, and it's kind of confused some folks. A question that came in was, a guy was lucky enough to, or gal, I'm not sure, can you show us again how you rig your decoys? So first things first, I only use tangle-free dropper line, which is been around for 100 years. It is absolutely the easiest stuff to work with, and there's a number of different ways that you can rig up decoys. And remember, all this is stuff that I like to do. My goal every year is to be on the water chasing ducks at least 75 days a year. My goal is 80, so I'm out there a lot, and I have been for 35 years or something like that. So this is just how I like to do it, so keep that in mind. So the easiest part with this tangle-free is that it's kind of thick, right? It doesn't tangle up, and that's one of the reasons why they call it tangle-free. But at the very least, you don't have to get all crazy here with swivels and snaps and crimping and all that stuff. I mean, you can, but it's really not important. All you need to do here, with 99% of the decoys that are out there, I have 2 very different decoys here, and they're both the same with the hole in the front of the keel, or sometimes it's underneath the decoy on top of the keel. But I just take and run it through. I do 2 overhand knots, so that knot's relatively large, okay? And it stops in that hole, okay? Very, very simple. Doesn't matter if you're right-handed or left-handed. When you ultimately wrap your decoy back up, you can just wrap it right up and it just stays perfectly. Myself, I have to have a J hook, okay? We've been using these forever. This is, of course, another tangle-free J-hook with a bungee cord. You wrap it right around the keel, and it just snaps right on, and you're good to go. It's not bouncing around. It's not beating up your decoy. For me, it is the cleanest and the easiest way to get your decoy set right. It doesn't matter if it's my Columbia River decoys, where they're deep water decoys with 20-foot leads and 6 ounce J-hooks. It doesn't matter. They're rigged exactly the same way, okay? Super simple. 1 knot here, 1 knot at the very top of that bungee cord, as you can see right there. So no clips, no snaps, no jicky jack. You don't have to buy a bunch of stuff. It's just simply a couple of knots, that bungee cord, and a J-hook. That's how I do it. It's super simple. You can deploy them fast. You can retrieve them fast. And that's one of the keys, is that you can be mobile when necessary. Here's one I'm going to show you of what not to do. Okay, this is one of my very old decoys, and you can see that we used to use the pyramids, which is fine. I mean, it just depends on what you want to do, and we'd wrap it around the neck, right? Or sometimes I take rubber bands and put rubber bands on here so I could wrap it around the keel. Don't do that. I mean, decoys these days are getting really expensive, and I don't know if you can make it out, but this weight over the years, I haven't used this decoy in I don't even know how many years, but it's a deep water set, so I should probably make sure I keep a hold of it. Here's what I would recommend. If you don't want to use this setup, which there are a lot of people that don't, okay, and I get that, because they're going to use what I've already got attached here is a Texas rig, okay? I actually use a Texas rig setup on my shallow water set of decoys out of my duck boat, because all of my decoys that I have that are rigged like this, excluding my Columbia River decoys, I drill out the keel, I get all the sand out that's in there, and I utilize a lighter decoy because I'm usually carrying my decoys on my back, okay? I only hunt public land, I do it the hard way, and I'm old. I want them light. But in the boat set, I don't take that weight out of there. I use a 6-foot dropper for the Texas rig, mainly because we typically hunt in areas where that water is really shallow. So I can get away with that, but I do have extra leads that I can snap on if I need to go deeper with that same set that I keep in the boat. So that's just a quick rundown on how I like to do my decoys. There's 100 different ways to do it, but I've always been a fan of simplicity is best. Keep it simple, stupid, right? One of these days, I'll get to the motion side of things. All right, we're gonna cut to a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna have Big Dave Manners. He's the owner of Big Dave's Fishing Adventures. He's out chasing some salmon around right now in a completely different area than where Nick was. We'll be back to that in just a minute.
Outdoor GPS is brought to you by Yakima Bait, steeped in tradition, innovation, and fishing success. Procure Bait Sense, ruthlessly effective. And by North American Metals Incorporated, first choice for all your metal roofing and siding needs.